The story of Washington, a land of towering mountains, deep forests, and powerful rivers. But before it became the state we know today, this region held thousands of years of history, ancient cultures, explorers, conflict, negotiation, and transformation. Today, we journey from ancient indigenous nations to European exploration, to statehood, and finally, the rise of Washington as a global center of technology, culture, and innovation. This is the history of Washington. Long before Washington was a state, long before Europeans knew this land existed, indigenous peoples lived here for over 10,000 years. Nations such as the Coast Salish, Chinook, Maka, Nez Perce, Yakima, Spokane, and Quileute shaped the region. They built longhouses, created complex trading systems, honored the rivers, and lived closely with the salmon-rich waters of the Pacific Northwest. Their societies held rich spiritual traditions, art, music, and storytelling that still thrive today. Washington's true history begins with them. In the 1770s, the first European explorers arrived. The Spanish came first, claiming parts of the Pacific Northwest. Shortly after, the British, led by Captain James Cook, began charting the coastline. Then, in 1792, American sea captain Robert Gray sailed into a massive river and named it the Columbia River after his ship. This moment became a cornerstone for America's claim to the region. From this point forward, the Pacific Northwest would soon be the focus of international rivalry. In the early 1800s, Britain and the United States both claimed ownership of a vast region known as Oregon Country, stretching from present-day California all the way to Alaska. To strengthen U.S. presence, President Thomas Jefferson sent Lewis and Clark on their legendary expedition. They reached the Pacific Ocean in 1805, boosting American interest in the area. For decades, Britain and the U.S. shared the land uneasily. Finally, in 1846, the Oregon Treaty was signed. It divided the territory at the 49th parallel, giving the U.S. the land that would eventually become Washington. The northern boundary was now set, and the future of Washington had a clear direction. By the 1850s, American settlers were pouring into the region. Logging, fishing, and fur trading were booming industries. Recognizing the rapid growth, Congress passed an act on March 2, 1853, officially creating Washington Territory. The new territory was named after George Washington, the first and only U.S. state named after a president. The capital was first in Olympia. Roads expanded, towns grew, and industries flourished. But life was not peaceful for everyone. Conflicts grew between settlers and indigenous nations, many of whom were forced into treaties that drastically changed their way of life. Washington was growing, but at a painful cost. Through the late 1800s, Washington expanded rapidly. Logging and timber became the backbone of the economy. Railroads connected cities and moved goods across the country. Immigrants from Europe and Asia added to the population and culture. In 1889, after years of growth and political effort, Washington met all requirements for statehood. On November 11, 1889, President Benjamin Harrison signed the proclamation. Washington became the 42nd state of the United States. The 1900s brought massive change. Seattle and Tacoma boomed as major ports. The fishing and timber industries flourished. Agriculture spread across eastern Washington, producing wheat, apples, and hops. In 1916, a small airplane company began operating in Seattle, Boeing. It soon became one of the largest aerospace companies in the world, turning Washington into a center of aviation. The state was now a major player in global industry. In 1975, Microsoft was founded and eventually moved its headquarters to Redmond. In 1994, Amazon was founded in Seattle and grew into one of the most influential companies on Earth. Technology, aerospace, global trade, and agriculture all made Washington one of the wealthiest and most dynamic states in America. Today, Washington is known for innovation, environmental beauty, and cultural diversity. From ancient tribal nations to modern innovation giants, Washington's history is a story of people, land, discovery, cooperation, and struggle. It is a place where natural beauty meets human achievement, a place shaped by the past, yet constantly building toward the future. The legacy of the land, its mountains, rivers, forests, and peoples, continues to define Washington today.
Alright guys, hope you all enjoyed the history lecture. For more videos, click on the subscribe button. See you soon!